pay a lot of attention to our presidential elections. We pay some attention to our Senate elections, but nowadays we are starting to pay no attention to our mayor elections. Welcome to this episode of Spotlight Documentaries. Our neighborhood safety, the police department, libraries, parks, roads, and train stations fall under the city government. Voting and the city government is one way to get to know our community and enable our voice to local government. This is your chance now. The Creve Coeur General Municipal Election for the mayor and city council is Tuesday, April 6, 2021. Creve Coeur is a city located 20 miles west of St. Louis, Missouri, with a population of about 20,000 people. Voting is perhaps the most crucial opportunity for us to influence how our city approaches and invests in issues that matter to us. Voter turnout for presidential election near 60%, while mayor election turnout only is 20%. And among young voters, the number is much lower. Let's ask some of the youth in Creve Coeur about their mayor elections. This is our first interviewee that will be being interviewed today. I just have a couple questions for you. First question is, did you have any idea that the Creve Coeur mayor elections are going on April 6th?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask you a question since I know that you do own a business. What do you think the city could do to help out youth entrepreneurs or the business community, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think we should have support from the mayors and people higher up from us. I think that the community should also support the youth better. That's about it.
All right, thank you so much. So, I just have a couple questions for you. One, did you have any idea the mayor elections were April 6th?
I had no idea that the mayor elections were April 6th.
Okay, and my second question is, if you were to stand face to face with the mayor and you had a chance to ask him one question, what would that be?
I would ask the mayor, does he have any ability to enforce statewide mandate on masks? And if so, when would he do so, or what does the COVID pandemic situation look like?
All right, thank you so much.
No problem.
So the mayor elections will be happening in Creve Coeur very shortly. So now that we have just heard from the people of Creve Coeur on the Creve Coeur mayor elections, let's hear from the two candidates running themselves. One is Councilwoman Lawrence, and the second, Councilman Hoffman.
But when I get that, I would have known.
Yes, and also if you were to stand face to face with the mayor and you had a chance to ask him a question, what would the question be?
My question would probably be about the coronavirus and what the city is trying to do to limit the spread of it within the limits of the city.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
No, I was not aware that there were Creve Coeur mayor elections happening. My question is, would either of the candidates consider creating a youth council?
After we recorded different young students and youth, we made our way over to the Creve Coeur Government Center, where we had an opportunity to interview Councilwoman Lawrence, who was running for mayor.
Mayor elections are coming up April 6th. Usually only 20% of the people in that city actually vote for the mayor. Vote! Please vote! We often look past the people. We are the reason that our government is running. We are the main reason our country is running like this. Please make sure to vote and please play a part in the mayor elections that are coming up April 6th. Thank you so much. And welcome back. Today we are here with Councilwoman Lawrence, who is one of the candidates running for mayor in the city of Creve Coeur. Don't forget, the mayor elections will be hosted April 6th. Be sure to vote. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your service to Creve Coeur and Ward 2, Councilwoman Lawrence. The first question I would like to ask you today is, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what got you inspired to basically go into public service?
Community service was a core value in my family. Everybody in my family did community service. My mother was one of the 3 people that founded the local community college. My father did things. My grandfather was involved. All 3 of my adult children do public service. This is something that I feel really passionately about. I think that it's important to, think about how you can leave more wood by the fire, if you like. So that's been something that I've really felt strongly about my whole life.
So, what is your favorite part of your job as a councilwoman, and what is one thing you feel proud of your accomplishments as a councilwoman?
I've loved everything about it. I think I especially love working with my residents, talking to my residents, and solving problems. And I'm proud of actually a lot of the things that I've done, and I'm going to go over a couple of them. Number one, I've been very involved with the finances of the city. I'm on every financial committee you can be on: finance, audit, pension. I proposed and served on the finance task force. On the pension committee, we were able to reduce our unfunded liability on our legacy pension plan from 35% unfunded down to 15% unfunded. Working with the finance task force, we looked at the budget for every single department, and we were able to find about $350,000 in savings a year. We had a 5-year plan, so we're actually saving more money as time goes along. I have also I've done some really interesting things with the biggest issues that council has faced during my tenure. When we first looked at redoing our trash contract, we talked for 2 years about how we were going to do that. And I proposed a compromise position where we had a 3-year period where we stopped paying 100% of the valet service, and over 3 years put that, with the residents. We were able to save $750,000 a year on the trash contract by doing that. The second thing I did on council that I'm most proud of is the work I did on the staff pension. We were having a lot of problems losing police officers. We were bleeding officers because we were in a type of pension plan that they didn't like. So I worked with Chief Eidman, the chief of police at that time, and our director of finance. And I figured out which plan cost the same to the city, but provided the kind of benefits that our officers and staff really, really wanted. And we were able to vote on that and adopt that. And I know Chief Eidman told me that not only had we stopped losing officers at this rapid rate, but we were also able to hire experienced officers for the first time in many years. So I'm very proud of that. I've also been very active in Parks and Rec. I served as the council liaison for 2 years. But in addition to that, I've done lots of extra things. I serve on the Heart to Heart Race Committee. Worked very hard to help fund our farmers market, and I've served on the Friend of Farmers Market Committee for many years. I worked during the last comprehensive plan development to make sure that the golf course was not listed as part of the commercial section downtown, but as a park to save it. Then I proposed and served on the golf task force, which looked for ways to make the operation of the golf course more efficient and financially stable. And I know during COVID, I've been so grateful that we've had the golf course because that's something people can do outside. It's just been marvelous. So and I proposed a whole series of ordinances and text amendments. In fact, I've got one coming up that I'm going to propose Monday night. So I'm also very proud of that.
So we are still in a pandemic. So as a mayor, what steps would you take to fight this off?
This pandemic has been devastating for everybody, and it's been really hard on the local government. And I think our staff has done an amazing job in keeping everything running as well as possible. All of our meetings are live streamed. Everyone can join in. This includes council meetings and planning and zoning. So that's been terrific. Because you want to keep everybody safe, and you want to keep the businesses in Creve Coeur supported. I know all of our police officers have been offered the vaccinations. I would like to see, I'm not sure that all of our staff has, and that's something I would definitely like to see happen, because I'd like to see this City Hall be able to reopen for regular business. I think in supporting our businesses, we've got our local love program, supporting our restaurants. If you check our website, you can actually see which restaurants, all the restaurants in Creve Coeur, which ones provide curbside, which ones are dine-in, which ones are delivery. And I know this is something that my co-counsel, Nicole Greer, and I wrote about in our last council corner. So I think making sure that our staff gets vaccinated, we're able to reopen, and supporting our businesses.
So, Councilwoman Lawrence, if you were elected as mayor, what would be 3 big issues that you want to bring change to in the city of Creve Coeur?
City's facing several very important issues. Number one is finances. With more people going to online purchasing, our local sales tax revenue is going down. We capture 38% of our revenues from local sales tax. So when that gets diminished, that has a big impact on what the city's able to do. And to make matters even worse, all the delivery trucks on the roads make the roads damaged more than they would have been. And our number one expense in our capital improvement program is always our roads. So I think keeping a really good eye on our finances, this is actually why I recommended years ago doing the finance task force, because you could see this was coming. And I didn't want to wait till things had gotten so terrible. But, we did that. And I actually think all of our staff has been really good about reviewing their budgets as well. So that's the single most important thing I think we need to do. Number two, we're facing some big changes in-house in some of our departments. We recently had our long-term chief of police, Chief Eidman, retire. And we do have a CALEA certified police department. CALEA is the gold standard in public safety. It's really a great certification. But that doesn't mean we can rest on our laurels. That doesn't mean that there's not things that we can do to be even better. And I would like us to see, now that we're in a transition phase, if there are things that we can do to be more efficient, keep our residents even safer, our businesses safer. So that's number two. Number three is building inspections. Again, our chief building inspector is about to retire. And we also have a building inspection task force that was proposed by one of our Ward 4 council members, Darren Tierney, which I thought was a terrific idea. So again, I think we have to, both council and staff, and with the help of this task force, needs to look at our building inspection process and see, are there ways we can make it better, more efficient, more user-friendly. We definitely need to find some sort of IT program where we can transition some of the mundane things, the forms, to an online service. I think that would really help that department. So those, I think, are the top 3 things for me.
Several cities in our area, including St. Louis, Richmond Heights, and Clayton, have a youth council for their youth and giving opportunity for their youth. If you were elected mayor, would you consider giving this opportunity to the youth of Creve Coeur?
I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. I know we've talked about this before. I was very supportive then. I am very supportive now. I think getting the youth of our city involved would be just wonderful, and I would love to see that happen.
So you talked a lot about expanding our business community, and there's many young entrepreneurs in our city. How will you support their youth entrepreneurship?
One program I think that would really help some of the younger business owners in town would be a mentorship program. If you have a mentor, that person can help you avoid the pitfalls. And this is across all sorts of different businesses. So maybe pairing up an experienced business owner in town with a younger person to work with them. I think that might be a program that would really help everybody. It would allow the experienced people to give back to the community. It would help our young entrepreneurs. And I think you could do this perhaps through the Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber of Commerce. And you could promote it with our e-business newsletter here in Creve Coeur. So I think that's something that would help, and I'd really like to see a program like that take off.
So the next question would be, what are some of the what current strengths of the city, and how would you like to grow on those strengths?
St. Creve Coeur is just an amazing city. And I've loved living here, and I've loved serving on the council. And I think our biggest strength is our people. We have amazing residents. We have lots of volunteers in our committees who truly make suggestions to and contribute to functioning the city. They make suggestions to council. They've been great. So I think that our residents are our biggest strength. We're also very fortunate to have a varied business base here in Creve Coeur. And I'd like to make sure that we have a commitment to our business community to help them thrive. 39 North, the biotech district, I think is going to be a big driver for growth in Creve Coeur over the next decade or two. And I think that because I have experience in biotech, I am probably the only mayoral candidate you'll meet who's ever cloned a gene, and also business experience. I think working with the people who are there and could maybe grow their businesses, attracting new biotech businesses to 39 North District, I think I'm in a really good position to have meaningful discussions with those kinds of people. I'd like to really grow that 39 North District. We've talked a lot about restaurants in Creve Coeur, and I have some ideas on how to attract especially young chefs with maybe smaller restaurants to the area, and that's something I'd really like to do if I was mayor.
So we have one more question, but again, I would like to thank you because I know this takes a lot of work to put together for this interview. Yeah. Yeah. So the final question is, suppose you had magical powers. What would you do to change the city in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I love this question. I wish I did have magical powers. If I had magical powers, I would have every single street fixed in the city. I'd make sure all the sidewalks were in good shape. I'd put sidewalks in every subdivision. I think being able to walk around town is great. I'd like to have a small park on Old Olive in Ward 1. I'd love to have a new park at the western edge of Ward 4. I'd like to fix all the stormwater issues around the city. And I know we have a new stormwater and parks tax, but we have a lot of stormwater issues in the city, and if I could wave a magic wand, I'd do so on that. I'd like to attract enough businesses to fill all of our shopping areas throughout town. And I'd really like to attract more biotech companies to the 39 North because I think that's really going to be part of our long-term growth strategy here in town. And before I stop, I wish we had more people like you, Raj. I'm so impressed and I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, I'd like to thank you for coming on here and
So
taking
we saw
time
some great
on
response
a Saturday
by
morning to
Councilwoman
do this
Lawrence.
interview.
Right after this,
And that
went
should
over
be
and
the end of this
traveled to
interview. Thank you guys so
Councilman
much for
Hoffman,
watching.
who is running for mayor as well, and heard what he had to say to our question.
Hello, we are here today with our next interviewer who is running for mayor in the city of Creve Coeur, and that is Councilman Hoffman. Thank you so much for your service, Councilman Hoffman. And I would just like to ask you a couple questions here. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what inspires you to go into public service.
On the city council for 11 years now, and though there's a 10-year term limit, because I was appointed, not elected the first time around, it didn't count, so that's and I get an extra year and a half because of that. I got involved initially just to the north of our subdivision where you're sitting right now. There was a proposal for a redevelopment of 94 units on 28 acres. It's zoned for one home per acre. I organized the opposition. I organized 11 different subdivisions against it, and we successfully defeated it. And even when the city was sued over the refusal to have it, they lost in court, so the city won, and there is no huge development, and that's how I got started about 20 years ago.
So now I'd like you to tell us just a little bit about what is your favorite part of your job and one thing or multiple things that you're proud of as an accomplishment when you were being part of, or when you were a councilman?
I think that the most, I think the most enjoyable part is interacting with the people. We do get a lot of complaints as council members, from the streets to the trash. I won't say daily, nearly daily. And you get to not only talk to people, meet with people, but you get to resolve most of their. My major accomplishment goes back to the beginning when I first got involved as a pediatrician with bike helmet safety. I was responsible for the first bike helmet law in the state of Missouri in Creve Coeur. I think that goes back to about the year 2000, but we now have a law in the books that requires a helmet with a fine, and if you'll notice, it's pretty much most communities now, but we were the first.
Very good to hear. And my next question would be, so we are still amidst a pandemic. So what steps would you take as a mayor to fight off the pandemic that is still going on?
I think the pandemic has changed our lives, if not for just now, but I think forever. I think many people are going to continue wearing masks locally, even immunized, because of the rare, well, not so rare, the new strains that are coming up that are possibly resistant to the immunization. A very important part of the population is not getting immunized, which is very, very, very worrisome to myself and Dr. Fauci. The refusal of some of these people, mostly young people, to immunize is something that we need to address. We can't win this without getting a very, very high herd immunity. And I would really like to push for more immunization, not just locally, but I mean, nationwide. It's a problem. I think the mask wearing is going to stay for a while, and I think the distance thing is going to stay for a while. And I think we'd be wise to continue to do so.
So if you were elected as the mayor, what would be some key issues that you would bring change to?
I think one of the largest complaints we get is with the inspection and building process. The city gets very, very, very high marks for most every other department, except when you see the disparity about the inspection process. It is one of the most common complaints we get from people. Say they're putting a porch on or a garage on, and they have to suddenly change plans, which costs them more money, quite frankly, in most cases. And it's even happened in this house that we're in right now. We were putting windows in, and suddenly found out about a rule that says we have to wire in all the fire smoke detectors. That was unknown and unrelated to the job, but part of the code, so we had to change gears and fix it. That's something that really happens a lot in people's expansions and additions. So I would say we've got to fix that. And right now there's a task force looking at it, and they'll come back to the city council with recommendations, but I suspect there will be changes made.
So the next question is, well, multiple cities in St. Louis, like Richmond Heights and the city of St. Louis and Clayton, have the youth government. And this is not something that Creve Coeur has. As a mayor, would you consider initiating a youth council and giving that opportunity for youth in the city of Creve Coeur?
Absolutely, absolutely. Our my background goes way back to high school, as does yours. It looks like in council, and I was, president of the student council. I was, because of that, invited to attend many citywide functions with city politicians in Chicago, where I grew up, and that was extremely helpful. And it is the foundation of my experience, truly.
So, what are some of the strengths right now in the city of Creve Coeur, and how will you build upon those strengths if you are elected as the mayor?
I think one of the major strengths our city has is the professional staff that we have, number one, at all levels, from the city administrator on down. And more importantly, I think our police department is probably the best police department in the state of Missouri. It is run efficiently. It is run without discrimination. It is run extremely well from the top on down. But the other departments also are run very well. When we have street issues, you can call the head of the streets department and get things fixed. The biggest problem, I think, is that people are afraid to get involved. I'm not afraid. I drive by a street, find a huge pothole at Chiselle and Ladue, and call the man, get it fixed, and it was fixed within one day this week. So I think we need to get that hesitancy by people to call the city or get involved in the city to go away. And but the strengths are our departments. They're all extremely good.
So this is the final question, and suppose you had magical powers. What would you do for the city? And let's keep it to the top 3 or 5 things that you would do.
I think that the things we got to look at and really help are, number one, the business expansion, especially for years, having like a city center outside without great risk. Period.
Again, thank you so much for your service, Councilman Hoffman, and that should be the end of this interview. Thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this documentary. The main purpose of this documentary was to inform that it's all about you guys, and we can change our cities by what our decisions that we take. And this is the best way to put your voice out there, is voting. You also got to hear a little bit more in depth about what these mayors do. But it's not just me. You can also contact your city mayors and also get to know them more. Please make sure you do vote whenever your mayor elections are coming up. Again, reminder that April 6th is when the Creve Coeur mayor elections are coming up. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Also, if you have any documentary ideas for any topics that you would like us to cover, please email us at spotlightdocumentaries@gmail.com. To sum it up, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and also leave a like. If you are 18 or in college, please make sure to vote for your local mayor, because you do make an impact with your vote. If you are under 18, you can volunteer at your polling place to get to know your city and your city government. If you are a sophomore in high school and older wish to volunteer, please call 314-615-1800, and that is if you live in the Creve Coeur area. Our email is stlouiscovotes@stlouisco.com. Again, stlouiscovotes@stlouisco.com. This information is also provided in the text below.